Hey gorgeous, welcome to Happy Go Fabulous. I am so thrilled that you're here. This is our space where we get real about life, the good, the messy and all the juicy bits in between. Real talk, real life and a whole lot of delicious living. But I must warn you, listening may cause unexpected outbreaks of fabulousness and real life magic. Hi, I'm Catherine and I am so incredibly passionate about helping inspired, motivated, impact-driven, freedom-seeking people just like you to do the deep inner work to create those beautiful outer wonders in life. It's all about revolutionising your relationship with yourself, where you fall madly, deeply in love with who you are and create a life so fabulous you can't wait to jump out of bed every morning to live it. Ready? Because ordinary living is so last season. Life's waiting and it's time to make it fabulous. Let's shimmy on in. Hey gorgeous, welcome to this week's podcast. And this one's, a lot of them are raw and vulnerable. This one feels very raw, very, very raw, vulnerable. It's being released on my birthday, my 59th birthday, and it's a love letter to myself. When I was thinking about this podcast, I was thinking, it'll be fun to do an episode on my birthday about lessons that I've learned through life. And I was thinking, lessons from 59 laps around the sun, but it ended up, when I started writing it, it ended up being a love letter to myself. And there's kind of lessons in there, absolutely. But oh my God, it was so, get your tissues ready. I know I will cry. I have read through this and I have cried. I've also laughed as well, but it's from my heart. I have written this love letter to myself. It is from myself to all the versions of myself that have got me here and even to the future versions of myself. And it was just so incredibly cathartic to do this and very, very, I would say very healing this time in my life. As you know, and you would have listened to my stories, this last year has been challenging. It's been full of a lot of challenges and a lot of really beautiful things have happened as well. But it's been full. It has been very, very, very full year. And this is the letter to myself. Pop up your chairs, get a cuppa, pop on your trackie and go for a walk. I think it's a long one. I tried to keep it. Actually, I didn't. I was going to say I tried to keep it short. I just wrote from my heart, and this is what we ended up with. So you might need to listen in installments. So excuse me, I've got my tissues ready. Let's see how we go. My voice will probably shake, but let's just see how we go. So a love letter to myself, 59 laps around the sun. Dear gorgeous me, happy, happy day, beautiful. 59 laps around the sun. Can we just take a moment to celebrate that? That's 59 revolutions of rising, falling, dancing, stumbling, learning, laughing, crying, healing and dreaming. 59 full circuits of becoming more of you. And wow, what a ride it's been. I'm so grateful for this day because many don't have that privilege. This isn't a list of lessons wrapped up in a perfect bow. It's a love letter. It's a thank you note, a joyful, tear-stained, glitter-dusted tribute to every version of me who made it here. To the wild ones, to the sacred ones, to the ones who fell apart, to the ones who rebuilt. Every single part of you deserves to be seen, honoured and celebrated. So here's to the journey, to the spiral, to the stumbles and the sparkles, to the woman you've become and the one you're still becoming. I'm super proud of you, of who you are today. You've worked hard to get here, not just on the outside, but deep, deep on the inside too. You've learned to trust yourself more, to back yourself and to really like who you are. You're living a life that actually feels like you and that feels pretty amazing. And the best bit, you're not done, not even close. There's so much good stuff ahead, so many things still to try, places to explore, ideas to bring to life, versions of me to unfold. You've built such a beautiful foundation, and now you'll really get to play, to enjoy it, to reap the rewards of these first 59 laps around the sun. Keep growing to see what else is possible. So let the love begin. To the me who entered the world, little did you know what you were in for. Or maybe you did and just forgot for a while. For the most part, life has unfolded in magical ways, and in some pretty shitty ones too. There's been beauty and heartbreak, joy and grief, clarity and confusion. But looking back, I can see it now. The path was never random. It was guided, and even in the messiest moments, something meaningful was unfolding. You came into this world wide-eyed and full of soul. You weren't here to pass through. You came with a mission, a divine assignment, one that involved deep feeling, deep healing, and a deep connection to others, one that would require you to walk through loss and grow through pain and rise again and again with more softness, more strength, more truth. And through it all, you never stopped reaching for joy and happiness in a life of bliss, for beauty and for meaning. You've always had that spark, the deep knowing that life is here to be lived fully, not tiptoed through. You've always been someone who feels the world a little more intensely, who sees the layers beneath the surface, and that hasn't always been easy, but it's been part of your magic. You're here to shine light in the dark, to make people feel seen, to remind them and yourself that there's beauty in the becoming. You were never here to blend in. You were here to live deeply, fully, and in your own way. And to that little soul who entered the world all those years ago, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing this life, for saying yes to the journey. You arrived with purpose in your soul and light in your heart. And you were ready for it, even if you forgot that for a little while. To the sassy little 2-year-old who knew her own mind, even at 2 years old, you had opinions. You had style, you had presence. You weren't here to follow the script. You were here to rewrite it. So when the fancy dress concert rolled around and Mum dressed you up as a bride, complete with the neighbour chauffeuring you in his fancy car like it was your wedding day, you were not impressed, especially when your brothers got to be Batman and Robin. I mean, come on, Mum, what were you thinking? But you wore that dress anyway, and you rocked it. You showed up even when it didn't feel fair, even when it didn't reflect what you really wanted. That fire, that spark, that quiet rebellion, it was already there. And that's something I still admire about you. Your clarity, your conviction, your refusal to pretend. You didn't always get your way, but you always knew who you were. And that, my little love, is pure magic. And it's interesting that you ended up having a fancy dress wedding for real. Wonder if that stemmed from here. I just wonder. To the clever little detective who outsmarted everyone. Do you remember when Matthew and Simon drew on the walls and Dad didn't believe them when they swore that it wasn't them? Because the drawings were way up high. And they got into more trouble for lying. And do you remember the look on everyone's faces when they caught us, you and me, dragging the chair over to the wall and climbing up to draw high on the walls? It was brilliant. You were so clever and also a little bit psychic, because it was a preview of what was to come. Being blamed for things you didn't do, having to defend yourself, learning to trust your own version of the truth. You predicted the future and got in early to get Matthew and Simon before they turned the cars on you. You've always been tuned in, and I love that about us. To the free-spirited, playful, wild-hearted little girl. You were so full of life and adventure. 1/3 of Charlie's Angels with Kerry and Joanne. And you didn't just play the role, you embodied it. You took your mission seriously and your spirit even more so. You wore your brownie sash with pride and a side of mischief. especially those days you tied your brownie belt around your legs under your uniform and strutted down the street like you were headlining a Vegas show. I'm sure Brown Al was thrilled. And as for the blokes honking their horns as they drove past, let's just say my confident strut may have been a little ahead of its time. To the tender-hearted animal lover, oh, I just love how you love animals. That was the beginning of our journey as an empath. We just didn't know it yet. We felt everything. When Lassie was in danger, our whole body tensed with fear. You couldn't bear to watch Skippy when things got dicey, and Black Beauty, oh my goodness, you cringed like your own heart was breaking. And then there was Smokey. Oh, Smokey, that glorious, long-suffering cat who let us bandage him up when we played nurse games and wear baby's clothes and push him around in the pram until my brothers showed up. And then he became a demon. And no wonder they dropped him down the laundry chute just to see if he'd land on his feet. But we knew, somehow we always knew what was fair and what was right and what was kind. And who could forget those matching Annie Oakley outfits that Mum made for you and Pooch the dog? She entered us in the Cherry Festival fancy dress competition and we won. Mum loved those moments. Maybe, just maybe, that's where my love of theme parties has started. And fancy dress wedding, of course. Of course we did. To the 8-year-old clinging on the rocks. Oh, I just want to wrap you in the softest, safest blanket and tell you it's okay to be scared. Those beach rocks were terrifying. Everyone else was scrambling over them, but you froze. You truly thought you might fall to your death. And I'm so sorry that moment got wired into your nervous system as a kind of proof that you weren't brave. It wasn't your fault. Those rocks were bloody treacherous. And just because the other kids, who were all older than you, didn't feel it, doesn't mean that your fear was wrong. That fear stayed with us, became a companion, always lurking, whispering that maybe you weren't quite enough. You were the first version of us to feel fear in your body, just tight in your chest and frozen in your limbs, that lump in the throat of that kind of scared that's hard to explain. I've tried to conquer it over the years, caving on a first date with John. God, what were we thinking? Abseiling, speaking up, taking leaps, saying yes even when every cell was shaking. And even the family loves scaring me now, knowing that I'll scream every time. It gives them such a delight, the little shits. I've learned that fear is part of us. I don't try to erase her anymore. I acknowledge her, honour her presence, and then move forward anyway. You know the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway? Well, that's us. Sometimes we do it slowly, sometimes quickly and boldly, but always forward and always through. You were the first to feel her. You were the first to feel fear. And I hope you can see how far we've come. And I hope you know how incredibly proud I am of you for feeling it all and still holding on. We didn't fall. We climbed our way. To the innocent little girl who lost her mum. Oh, I don't even know how to start this part because everything changed the day before our 12th birthday. That shitty fuck day when Mum died. The lights went out and the joy disappeared and the world became colder and darker and infinitely more confusing. We lost the person whose laughter was the soundtrack of our life. The woman who was the queen of fancy dress, who made matching caftans for you and our Barbie dolls, who lit up every room with warmth and love. In an instant, she was gone and everything went quiet. Everything went dark. Fuck that day. It's okay to say that. You've wanted to say that for so long and just didn't know how. And when you first said it, it felt so good. Fuck that day. You felt like you weren't allowed to be happy anymore. The happiness was disrespectful to grief. Times were different then. We didn't know how to process loss. There was no counselling or therapy, no gentle conversations, just silence. You learned to bottle everything up. You didn't even know what you were thinking or feeling. You just went numb. Just completely frozen with fear and uncertainty. You felt lost and alone with unbearable sadness and a broken heart. You didn't even know where to start to heal. You didn't know how to talk about how you felt. And who would you even talk to anyway? You didn't have tools to help you deal with the grief. I'm so, so sorry. I wish I could change so many things about that day and that time of our life. But I've learned that that's not helpful thinking, to think that we could change what happened. We built an impenetrable armour of protection around ourselves. You comforted yourself with food because food was always there, and food never asked anything of you. And then the shame of what became a whole new prison. You felt invisible and alone, drifting through a life that felt void of any meaning or purpose, let alone any semblance of joy. You got on with things, you appeared capable, but underneath you were crumbling. You became a master of masking pain, being strong while silently breaking. That's a level of resilience most people will never understand. I'm so sorry you had to carry all of that. I wish someone had wrapped their arms around you and said it's okay. You'll be okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to miss her. It's okay to talk about her and honour her memory. It's okay to want to be happy again. I wish someone had given you tools. I wish we had known what we know now. But here's what I do know, that you survived. You became fiercely independent. You showed up. You carried yourself through the impossible, one breath at a time. And even when you didn't know it, even when you were numb or angry or completely lost, you were growing something sacred inside. Empathy, depth, strength, love, and compassion. You learned to love others in their darkness because you knew what it felt like to sit in your own. Through your own pain, your purpose was born. You became someone who could hold space for deep sorrow and offer light, not because you had all the answers, but because you understood. You have a depth of compassion that only comes from having lived it, and that's no small gift. You are a miracle, and I love you. I'm so proud of you and will never stop being in awe of everything you survived and everything you've become. To the teen who was bullied but never lost her spark. Hey you, my sweet, strong, beautiful teenage self, I want you to know I see you. You carried so much far too young. You were already walking around with the kind of heartbreak that could buckle most people, and still you showed up, and somehow, even in the middle of that grief, the world decided to pile on more. Those kids, those shitty, fucking awful kids who teased you because your mum died, who called out your pimples, your weight, your different coloured sandals, even your love of swimming, like there was anything wrong with being a good swimmer. Bloody dickheads. And those teachers, oh, don't get me started on the ones who turned a blind eye. Or worse, the chauvinist fucking asshole teacher who joined in. Excuse my language. I have rehearsed in my head 1,000,000 times what I would say to him now. That was definitely okay what he said back then. I know you tried to carry it alone. I know you didn't tell anyone. You kept it quiet, tucked it away, smiled when you needed to, but inside you were hurting. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that by yourself. But you didn't let it define you. You didn't become cruel to cope. You didn't lash out or shut down. You held your head high. You kept your heart open, and you stopped rehearsing your speech to that fuck teacher. And you know what you gave us? forgiveness. It took a long time, like years in fact, but eventually the poison that their words left in your veins started to drain out. You stopped obsessing, you stopped imagining revenge, you stopped rehearsing your responses, and then one day you felt nothing. Nothing. No hatred, no ill will, no resentment, no thoughts of retaliation, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that nothing, that was freedom. That's where the power lies. Not in the hands of the haters, but in the heart of those who forgive. You are grace, you are power, you are pure rock star resilience. And I will never forget what you taught me about holding pain without becoming it. Thank you. That has been an incredibly powerful lesson. Thank you. Oh, to the young woman who made the commitment to turn her life around. Oh, super, 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 super big shout out to the version of me who chose herself, who in a moment of clarity made the decision to change her life. There are lots of versions of us in this category. Let's start with the 19-year-old who was stuck in a job that just sucked the soul right out of her. And yes, she came with a lot of attitude. She was still in the thick of grief and angry with the world. She thought she knew better than everyone else. And let's be honest, she wasn't entirely wrong, but also maybe a little bit more humility was needed. Then something unexpected happened. We got offered a job teaching people how to type with zero training and no idea what we were doing, but we said yes. And something stirred inside, something that hadn't stirred since Mum passed away. Do you remember that moment? I do. I can feel it now. And it's a feeling I will never forget. Never, ever, ever, ever forget. That feeling of aliveness. It was like we were defrosting. We were coming out of the big freeze, like colour had returned to a life that had been colourless for so long. And that job, it lit a spark, a big, beautiful spark. It was a turning point. People started seeing something in us that we hadn't yet seen in ourselves. We were good at something, like really, really good at something, and it felt like magic. Oh, God, I'm getting goosebumps as I write this. It was freaking amazing. It's wild when you think about it, coming from a girl who sat in English class, completely frozen in front of those damn bloody SRA reading and comprehension cards. Remember those? Fuck, I hated them. The colour-coded humiliation system designed to let every student and teacher know exactly where you sat on the smart scale. We'd look at those cards and the words would just blur into each other. Nothing made sense. Our brain locked up. We were stuck on the lowest colour forever. You felt stupid, like really, really stupid, dumb and stupid, less than the other kids and really embarrassed. Stupid and embarrassed. I think you remember. It's etched deep. Fuck those cards. But you had a plan. You got really ingenious. You became the class clown. You became a disruptor way before your time. You got sent out of class regularly. No way could you finish the SRA cards from the hallway. Problem solved. Honestly, that's the kind of brilliance I adore about us. We always find a way. Oh, so back to that turning point in our life. And then came the surprises. Life began unfolding in this unexpected, wild, beautiful way. You were given opportunities to study, to train, to grow, to progress in your career. Work backed you, supported you, trained you with world-leading experts, some of the best minds in the field. You even went to university. You, the class clown, with the SRA phobia. Who would have thought? And yeah, study was hard. Thanks for nothing, colour reading cards. But this time it was different. We were learning stuff that we loved, stuff that had meaning, stuff that felt like remembering, not learning. Somehow I knew this before. There was a deep inner knowing. This wasn't learning, this was remembering. Human behaviour, psychology, personal mastery, life skills, personal empowerment. Oh my God. Where was this information when I needed it? It wasn't just learning it to teach others. I didn't know it at the time. I was learning it to heal, to learn and grow and to evolve. And this opened doors I never, ever knew existed. My healing became the catalyst to help others. Who would have thought? And to the version of me in her 20s, I want to thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You fell back in love with life. You dug deep and had the courage to choose happiness. This was a path you chose to carve out for yourself. You could have stayed feeling like life was happening to you, but you chose to believe that life could be beautiful again. You didn't wallow. You didn't stay stuck. You said, enough. I want more. And I am so eternally grateful that you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, a million thank yous. Thank you for making the commitment to become the very best version of us, to create the most beautiful life possible, not because we deserved it, because that's what Mum would have wanted. That's what I wanted. It was time to start living and learning how to love life again. That decision changed everything. Our career exploded in the best way. We became head of national learning and development for a major government organisation. Like, what? That was definitely not in the SRA card trajectory. Then came John and our gorgeous family, and another quiet vow to be the best wife and mum I could possibly be, to pour all the love that we didn't get to keep from mum into our kids. Am I the perfect mum and wife? Nope. But they're doing just fine, and so am I. Thank you for listening to the whisper that said, this isn't it. Thank you for believing there was more to life and more to you, even when we didn't have a map. You taught me that happiness isn't found, it's created. It comes from within. You taught me commitment and devotion. You taught me love and forgiveness, and you taught me to say yes to myself. You are a powerhouse, and I will be forever grateful that you said yes to life and yes to us. To the one who hid her light to fit in, to the version of me who tried to take up less space, who made herself smaller because someone, or actually lots of someones, told her she was too much, too big, too loud, too emotional, too intense, too everything. And you believed them. I know you did. And so you shrank. You kept your ideas to yourself. You diluted your brilliance. You tiptoed around your own life, trying not to upset or outshine anyone. You weren't doing it to be fake. You were doing it to be safe. You thought if you just toned yourself down a bit, made yourself a little less visible, maybe then they'd accept you. Maybe then you'd belong. And it worked. Well, kind of. You blended, you fit in. But at what cost? We lost parts of our sparkle. We second-guessed just about everything. We held back on things we knew we were born to do. You were told you were too much physically, emotionally, energetically, and those words lodged in your nervous system like glass. One particular moment still stings, being told by someone in a position of influence that you were too big, that you intimidated people, that you needed to make yourself smaller. And you believed it. You went into hiding. You doubted your light. You questioned your place. You deprived yourself and your body of important nutrients, and it hurt. But you didn't stay hidden forever. It was a long time, but it wasn't forever. You did the work and you came back to yourself. You returned to the practices that had always supported you, and you didn't just heal, you reclaimed. You reclaimed your space, your voice, your joy, your passion, your energy, your you-ness. And you know what? That bigness they couldn't handle, that was never the problem. That's your gift. Thank you for trying to keep us safe, and thank you even more for stepping back into the light. You taught me how to honour my truth. You taught me that blending in is not the same as belonging. You taught me that shrinking doesn't serve the world or ourselves. You're not too much, you never were. You are bold, you are radiant, you are exactly enough. To the woman who reclaimed her power, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. The power has always been in us. We just didn't always know how to access it. But we figured it out, bit by bit, challenge by challenge. A little bit like Super Mario Kart, dodging banana peels, hitting brick walls, soaring over jumps, learning how to master the course of life. And every time we cracked a level, every time we faced something that once would have taken us out, we upgraded. Yep, we repeated some mistakes more than we'd like to, but we learned. We evolved, we rose, and eventually the lid blew off. That power, it infused into every cell of who we are. It was always there waiting for us to say yes. So thank you to the parts of me who decided it's safe to be fully authentic, who said, no more masks, no more hiding. Thank you to the parts of me who started giving fewer and fewer fucks about what people think. That's been liberating as fuck. Thank you to the version of me who looked in the mirror at that one silver strand of hair and said, enough with the dye, who embraced the grey strand by strand until it became a crown of wisdom and freedom. That decision wasn't just about hair. It was about truth. It was about coming home to the real me, without cover-ups, without camouflage, raw, radiant, and real. Thank you to the version of me who stopped seeing sensitivity as a flaw and instead began sharing it with the world. From the little girl who didn't know how to grieve or feel to the woman who now holds space for others' healing. Every version of me has walked me here. You owned your voice. You started speaking what was in your heart, even if your voice trembled. You said yes to dreams and ideas, even the ones that scared you. You started showing up fully, freely, and fabulously. You remembered your brilliance, not the kind with job titles or certificates, though you've got lots of those too, but the kind that comes from walking through the fire and deciding to keep your heart open anyway. And yes, there has been that sting, the moment when someone else launched something very close to what you've been sitting on, and you thought, damn, that could have been me. The taste of regret is bitter. It's been a wake-up call, not to shame you, but to nudge you into action, a reminder that your voice, your ideas, your magic matters. And you rose again. You started weaving all of you, the guide, the mentor, the healer, the soul whisperer, the spirited queen, the loving empath, and you let her be seen. You're not here to dim down or blend in. You're here to radiate. Thank you for rising again and again. Thank you for turning your deepest wounds into wisdom. Thank you for letting your healing become a roadmap for others. You taught me that transformation isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about reclaiming what's been true, what's always been true. You didn't just step into your power, you embodied it. And it looks really good on you. To the woman who said yes to life again. Patterns have a way of repeating themselves. Loss, pain, numbness, they return in waves, sometimes when you least expect it. And this time it hit deeper than ever. The loss of someone so young, so full of promise, cracked something open in me I didn't know could break again. When we lost our beautiful niece, I fell out of love with life. The senselessness of it, the injustice, the ache, the silence set me spiraling. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't feel anything. I felt numb, just like I did all those years ago when Mum died. My heart felt like the pieces of a disco ball that had shattered into a million pieces and could never be put back together again. Then came the guilt. How could I feel joy when my brother and his wife had lost their only child? How could I celebrate our long dreamed of sea change while their world was shattered? Everything beautiful felt like a betrayal. But this time I didn't shut down. I didn't push it away. I let the grief in. And when the pain came, it brought all her friends. Grief from every layer of life. Mum, dad, my in-laws, beloved pets, friends, colleagues, and now this new unbearable heartbreak. And then the kangaroo that the previous owners had hand-raised as an orphan Joey. She lost her own Joey, one that I had been marvelling over and watching grow, with her one day and lost the next. I could tell she was grieving. Something inside me connected with her, and something else inside me just broke. I went like a crazy woman into the bush to try and find her baby. God, what was I going to do if I did find it? I never know. But I had to try, because in her loss, I saw my own loss in the depths of my soul. And I cried and cried and cried like I have never cried before. I sobbed these deep, 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 deep guttural sobs for her, for the kangaroo, for my niece, for my family, for all the versions of me, for the long aches of loss I've carried my whole life and many lifetimes before. But those tears, they were different. They were sacred. They carried sorrow, for sure, but also love, pure, unfiltered love. And through those tears, something softened, something started to stitch back together. The shards of the disco ball started to repair themselves. I realised that healing isn't about choosing between sadness and joy. It's about allowing and carrying both. I can mourn and still marvel at a sunrise. I can cry and still crave happiness. I can ache with loss and still open my arms to life. I can have a broken heart and still feel love. Grief and joy are not opposites, they are companions. They're dance partners in this sacred, messy, magical life. So now I say yes again. Yes to the sadness and yes to the joy. Yes to the love that lives in both. You taught me it's okay to fall apart. You taught me it's okay to feel it all. And most of all, you taught me that even through the deepest grief, I can still choose life. And that, beautiful one, makes you wise beyond words. To the woman who found her greatest joy in her family. To the version of me who poured her heart into her own little family, thank you. You second-guessed just about everything until you didn't. The first baby you ever held was your own daughter. You had no idea what you were doing, but instinct kind of kicked in. Did you get it right all the time? No way. But did you try with all your heart? Absolutely, yes way. Your goal was never perfection. It was to raise beautiful, independent, good humans who were kind, compassionate, comfortable to be who they are and live life how they choose to live it. And I think it's safe to say you've done a beautiful job. Sure, there were missed signals, like the time a cry of pain turned into a full-blown knee reconstruction and book week costumes, always at the 11th hour. But thanks to inheriting Mum's love of fancy dress, those creations were legendary. Even if the kids didn't always agree, our imagination came through exactly when we needed it. You bring playfulness, joy, and heart to everything you touch as a mum. And then there's John, the man who showed up when you least expected it. You trusted the universe to bring him into your life, and he did. And then you trusted again it would keep you together. Has it always been easy? No. But has it always been worth it? Absolutely. 30 years married and still going strong. Let's see if we've got another 30 in us. You've built something beautiful. You're living it with depth and devotion. And through it all, you've been the heart of your family, the centre of the chaos, the calm, the laughter and the love. And I think Mum would be really proud of the kind of mother that you are. I know I am. To the soul-led mystic with a wild, wild heart. Thank you to the part of me who said yes to the magic of my spiritual journey. To the soul work, the ancient wisdom that runs deeper than logic, and the whispers of knowing that can't be explained, only felt. The part of me who craves connection not just to the universe, but to the truth within myself, who creates sacred moments out of the everyday, connecting with the divine, listening to my intuition, whisper intentions under the stars. You're the part of me who tunes in when the world gets loud, who trusts the nudges, the downloads, the goosebumps, the feathers, who walks barefoot on the earth just to feel grounded and smudges a room just because it feels right. You no longer keep your gifts hidden. You've allowed them to shine. You've owned your intuition, your insight, your way of knowing that can't be taught in books. You've embraced being a messenger of love and light, a healer, an energy worker who understands how to move with and through the unseen. You've explored energy medicine not just as a tool, but as a calling, trusting the waves of insight, the intuitive nudges, the subtle shifts that others often miss. You're part mystic, part guide and mentor, part energetic alchemist. You help people come back to themselves just by standing in your truth. You don't just hold space, you expand it. You're a living, breathing reminder that energy speaks louder than words, and that healing starts with how we show up. Because of you, life doesn't just happen, it unfolds with meaning, with intention, with alignment, and with lots and lots of magic. And that's not power. That's your superpower. And what I've learned from you is that the more I trust my inner knowing, the more life flows. The more I honour energy and intuition, the more I see the magic in the ordinary. You've taught me that truth doesn't always come with facts. It often arrives as a feeling. You've shown me that healing isn't about fixing. It's about remembering, about coming home. You've helped me reconnect with a part of myself that feels ancient and infinite, and I am forever grateful. To the woman who does life her way, this is my mantra for life now. You do you, boo. It hasn't always been that way. We worried way too much about what people might be thinking. We tried to squeeze into boxes that were never built for us. We dimmed, doubted, and overanalyzed every single move. But then something beautiful happened. We stopped hating on ourselves. We stopped critiquing every tiny thing we thought was wrong. And we made a bold decision to love and accept ourselves exactly as we are. Big shout out to the version of me who let go of the fear that self-acceptance would mean giving up. That if I stopped fighting myself, I'd slide into some abyss of complacency. What a lie that was. And oh, the years we spent trying to keep ourselves physically small, restricting, depriving, squeezing into society's idea of acceptable. What a dumbass thing to do. Because when we finally let go of that insanity, that's when we truly felt free. That's when the real us stepped forward. When we stopped shrinking physically and metaphorically, we started shining. When we acknowledged who we truly were, we met ourselves. We got to know her, not just know her, we adored her, we embraced her, we embodied her, all the parts of her, unconditionally, and everything changed. We stopped asking for permission. Actually, we never really asked for permission. We stopped following everyone else's rules. We stopped comparing ourselves and thinking we were less than. We stopped apologizing for our voice, our dreams, our curves, our chaos. We owned our bigness. We embraced our uniqueness. We took up space, physically, emotionally, spiritually. We do life on our terms. We wear what we want. We say what we mean, with love, of course. We rest when we need. We have created our own rhythm. We are giving fewer and fewer fucks and gaining more freedom than you have ever imagined. And in doing so, we have come home to who we truly are, and it feels oh so good. Thank you for no longer compromising what's important. Thank you for no longer trying to fit in. Thank you for choosing to show up fully and let your light shine. Thank you for showing us what it looks like to live freely, fiercely, fabulously, and fully, and from the full radiance of our soul. We're not just doing life, we're doing it our way. And maybe best of all, you remembered her, the free-spirited, wild-hearted girl who twirled in caftans, made cats wear costumes and dress up with her dogs, the one who danced through childhood with barefoot joy and believed anything was possible. You haven't forgotten her, you've invited her back in, channeling her carefree laughter, her creativity, her sparkle, and her zest for life. You let her remind you what it means to play and have fun, to trust, to live from the heart, and to love life. To the soul who found her sanctuary. Oh my gosh, my gorgeous new seaside sanctuary represents so much, but not just in the physical sense. It's the culmination of a lifetime of dreaming, trusting, and manifesting, and it's also the beginning of something new. We even named her Ananda, the Sanskrit word for bliss and joy, a daily reminder of the life I'm creating and the frequency I choose to embody. It's not just a home, it's a vibration, a space that holds my essence, that invites my expansion. Thank you to all the parts who help bring this life into being. Not just the home, but the whole life, the love, the growth, the magic, the freedom. The sanctuary is a symbol of what's possible when you align with your soul and take bold, loving action. Thank you to the younger versions of me who let her imagination run wild, who daydream beyond the limits of what seemed realistic, who listened to desire, not logic, who dared to ask, what if? Thank you for being a super attractor and master manifester, not just once, but over and over, for the jobs that arrived at just the right time, for the unexpected gifts, for the people, the ideas, the clients, the healing, the mentors, the signs, for listening to divine nudges, for trusting that you were co-creating with something greater. You didn't just manifest a home, you manifested a life of beauty, a life of peace, adventure, and meaning. And you did it because you trusted your inner guidance more than the noise of the outside world. You knew it wasn't too much to ask for. You knew that you were worthy of it, and you let the universe respond to your clarity and your courage. You've created a home for your soul, and you deserve every single magical moment inside it. It's okay to rest here, to celebrate here, and to expand from here. Because this isn't the finish line, it's a launch pad. This sanctuary is the base from which our next dreams will grow, the fertile ground for new adventures, new ways of serving, loving, and creating. It is the safe, soulful container where your next evolution will rise. You have called in so much, and now you get to channel that same magic into what's still to come. And you, my love, are the magic that made it all happen. To the me who's still becoming, to the next radiant version of me, I see you shimmering just beyond the horizon, and I'm already obsessed with your energy. You are not the end point. You are the next expansion, the next layer peeled back, the next level of freedom, authenticity, and unapologetic self-expression. The next phase of life, it's not a winding down, it's a ramping up. I can feel it, like a good wine that just keeps getting better, richer, more full-bodied. This is the era of stepping even deeper into my truth, even bolder into my joy, even louder into my purpose. No shrinking, no pretending, no playing by anyone else's rules. The woman I am becoming is magnetic, not because she's perfect, because she's real. She's rooted in who she is, radiant, relatable, a little wild, a little woo, and absolutely aligned. I can feel her shedding the old stories, letting go of anything that feels too tight, too heavy, too not me. Space. Space for joy, space for bliss, for fun, for power, for freedom, for soul. She is here to create, to lead, to serve, to shine, to do sacred work and throw a fabulous party in the process. To the me I am still becoming, thank you for calling me forward, for reminding me that there is always more magic to unfold. We're not done. We're coming into our prime, and oh my goodness, it's going to be fabulous. Final reflections to the woman I am today. Dear me, dear radiant, messy, magnificent me, look at everything we've walked through. Look at everything we've become. You're not the same woman who started this journey, and thank goodness for that. You've evolved, expanded, and like the Japanese art of kintsugi, you've repaired your cracks with gold. The breaks didn't break you. They became your most beautiful lines. You've lived lifetimes in one lifetime. You faced heartbreak and loss and come undone. You've also danced with joy, nurtured a family, said yes to love, created beauty, held space, healed wounds, and walked others through theirs. You've made art from your pain and magic from your mess and wisdom from your wounds. You've lived with courage, with soul, and with strength. You've been bold, you've been scared, you've been split open and rearranged, and still you've risen. This letter, this little love note, this storytelling time capsule, it's not just a celebration of the woman you've become. It's a tribute to every version of us who got us here, who showed up, who did the work, who kept going, even when she wasn't sure how. And while I haven't named every version of me, they're all connected. Each moment, each chapter is part of the soul weaving that led us to this page. These are the stories that asked to be told today, that rose to the surface to be witnessed. You found your way back to love, to life, to yourself. You've rewritten your story in your own voice, with flair, with fire, with full permission to be exactly who you are. You are definitely not here to tick boxes or play small. You are here to live beautifully, to live fully, to live freely, to live fabulously. And yes, with a healthy dollop of sparkle, fun, and maybe a spontaneous dance break when the moment calls for it. You are a woman who has lost deeply and loves deeply. You chose to heal again and again. You've created a life you are madly, deeply in love with, and you have found magic in the ordinary and made it extraordinary. You've made a commitment to honour yourself and your life, to make it sacred and filled with joy. You know that I haven't always loved my birthday. For many years it was wrapped in sadness. The anniversary of losing Mum the day before always loomed heavy. Hate is not a word that I often use, but I hated the timing. I hated what it meant. The idea that her loss and my life had to sit side by side felt unbearable. But one day that changed. Now I see the connection, not the conflict. I honour the cycle. I embrace the soul link between her leaving and my continuing. We are forever tired, not by tragedy, but by love, by legacy, and by meaning. Her passing wasn't just an ending. It was a turning point. It cracked me open to my purpose because I know what it's like to lose. I know how to walk others through their own darkness. I know how to meet pain with compassion because I've had to learn how to live fully again. I can guide others to do the same. Now each birthday is a recommitment to myself, to joy and to living fully. I release what no longer serves me and open to what's next. I make space for more magic. So as we turn 59, I want to sit in the full radiant truth of who we are. A woman who says yes to herself, a woman who loves and lives deeply, a woman who does life her way, a woman who makes her own rules and throws glitter on them. This was more than a love letter. This was a reclamation, a celebration, a full body exhale. And I have to say, it has been deeply, deeply cathartic. Thank you. It's been cathartic writing it, and probably more so in reading it. It has been healing, heartwarming at moments and heartbreaking at others. And writing this felt like coming home to myself in the most beautiful way. You really might like to try it too. Seriously, grab a pen, open your heart and write a love letter to yourself. It doesn't have to be as long as this one, but a letter from your heart to all the versions of you. You'll be amazed at what you might find there. So happy birthday, beautiful. Here's to the next lap around the sun. May it be wilder, more beautiful, more magical, and filled with lots and lots of love. Barefoot sunrise walks at the beach, good people, and the occasional, did I really just do that moment? With all my love, me. Oh my goodness. Goodness. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space for me through the ether. In reading it, I could feel the presence of those around me. So thank you. I know that was long. If you are going through any versions of anything that I've mentioned and would like some assistance, please reach out. Click on the Work with Catherine link in the show notes or reach out personally through my socials. I really am here to help others through their journeys, and I would love nothing more than that. I have a beautiful program called Get Your Soul Glow On, which really has been born through me falling back in love with life again. And I've run the program a couple of times now, and I'm going to continue running that program. So join, if you want to find out more, click on the Get Your Soul Glow link on, because it's such a beautiful program to help you, as it says, get your soul glow on, just to feel absolutely alive. So I would love to work with you in that space. So thank you for listening, and I really would love, as I said, this was a pretty raw, this was a raw episode, and I would love your feedback. I would love even just your love. I would love to hear that. So thank you very much. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Happy Go Fabulous. I hope you loved it. If you did, could I ask a big favour? Please subscribe, leave a review, and most importantly, share the love and let your besties know about the podcast. This will help get it into the hearts and ears of all the gorgeous souls who need a little bit of fabulous in their life. If you'd like some more high vibe happiness in your life, come and visit me on my Happiness Hive socials, and make sure you've signed up to my newsletter, your weekly drop of juicy goodness. Pop over to my Happiness Hive website and click on the link Working with Catherine. I'd love to help you make life amazing. Until next time, keep being fabulous.